They wanted me to slay their monster queen. Now she sleeps curled. The twin sons of Kale scorched the red dunes without mercy. Lisa trudged through the dust with a worn pack on her back and an old plasma rifle slung over her shoulder. Her boots were cracked, her lips dry, but her eyes stayed sharp. She had walked 3 days across the wastes to reach the ruins. The elders had promised her a home if she returned with proof of the monster queen's death. A real home, not a leaky dome or a cot in a crowded barracks. Just 4 walls and silence. That was enough to make her go. The stories about the queen had haunted the colony for months. They said she rose from the black spires at night, her claws tearing through metal, her voice driving men mad. They said she stole children and drank their dreams. Lisa had heard it all while mending broken comms units in the market. She never believed most of it, but she needed the reward more than she needed truth. Now, standing at the edge of the crater where the alien city lay half buried, she felt doubt creep in. The wind howled through twisted stone arches, sounding almost like weeping. The air grew colder as she stepped inside, though the sun still burned outside. Strange vines with silver leaves clung to the walls, glowing faintly in the dim light. It felt less like a lair and more like a tomb. She moved slowly, rifle ready, ears tuned to every echo. Then she heard it, a soft hum, low and steady like a lullaby. It came from a wide chamber ahead, lit by clusters of blue crystals that pulsed like slow heartbeats. Lisa crept closer, her breath held. In the center of the room, curled on a nest of woven cloth and dried moss, was the monster queen. Lisa froze. The queen was tall, her skin deep violet with shimmering silver lines that traced her arms and neck like constellations. Her hair flowed like dark water over her shoulders, and her hands rested gently on her swollen belly. She wore no armor, no weapons, no crown. She looked exhausted, fragile even. Her eyes were closed, her breathing slow. Beside her lay a small doll stitched from scraps of cloth and bone. This was not the monster from the stories. Lisa raised her rifle. Her finger hovered over the trigger. 1 shot. That was all it would take. The elders would welcome her back as a hero. She would get her home. But something in her chest tightened. The queen opened her eyes. They were golden, warm, and filled with a sadness so deep it made Lisa's throat ache. She did not flinch. She did not snarl. She simply looked at Lisa and whispered, "You came to kill me." Lisa's voice cracked. "They said you were dangerous." "They always say that," the queen replied, her voice soft like wind through reeds. Lisa lowered the rifle slightly. "Why are you here alone?" "My people are gone," the queen said. "Your ships burned our cities. I fled with nothing but this child growing inside me. I only wanted to give her a chance to live." Lisa stared at the queen's belly. The truth hit her like a sandstorm. The queen wasn't stealing children. She was about to have one. "They lied to me," Lisa muttered. "Fear makes liars of everyone," the queen said. "They fear what they cannot control. They fear my daughter will remember what they did." Lisa's hands trembled. She had been sent to murder a mother hiding in ruins, not a monster. "What's your name?" Lisa asked. "Naira." "I'm Lisa." A silence settled between them, thick but not hostile. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, the crystals hummed softly, casting gentle light over Naira's tired face. "They will send others when you don't return," Naira said after a while. Lisa knew it was true. The elders would not wait long. They would send hunters, maybe even drones. "Then we leave," Lisa said. Naira blinked. "You would help me?" "I won't help them kill you." Naira tried to stand but winced and sank back down. "The berth is close." "I cannot walk far," Lisa thought fast. She remembered the old service tunnels beneath the colony, forgotten, flooded in places, but passable. If they could reach them, they could vanish. "I'll carry you," Lisa said. Naira shook her head. "You're small." "I'm not." "I've carried heavier loads," Lisa lied, though her arms already ached at the thought. Naira studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Lisa holstered the rifle and knelt. Naira wrapped her arms around Lisa's shoulders, careful not to crush her. It was slow and painful. Lisa's legs burned with every step, but they made it out of the ruins just as the first patrol drone appeared on the horizon, its red eye scanning the dunes. They slipped into the tunnel entrance hidden behind a rusted hatch. The air inside was damp and smelled of mildew, but it was dark and quiet. Lisa found an old maintenance room with a broken cot and a flickering heater. She laid Naira down gently. "Thank you," Naira whispered. "Don't thank me yet," Lisa said, peering back down the tunnel. "They'll be looking." For 3 days they stayed hidden. Lisa scavenged food from abandoned lockers. dried protein bars and stale water packs. She boiled water over a small flame made from scrap wire and battery cells. Nira grew weaker, her skin cool, her breathing shallow. On the fourth night, the contractions began. Lisa had never delivered a baby, alien or human, but she had watched enough emergency vids during her scavenger days to know the basics. She cleaned her hands with antiseptic wipes, found clean cloth, and stayed calm. Nira screamed once, then bit her lip until it bled. Lisa held her hand and whispered, "You're strong. You can do this." And then, with a final push, the child came. It was a girl, small with soft silver skin and eyes already open, wide and curious. She made no sound at first, just stared at Lisa with wonder. Nira wept. "She is beautiful." Lisa wrapped the baby in clean cloth and placed her in Nira's arms. The queen smiled, exhausted but radiant. Outside, boots echoed in the tunnel. Voices shouted. They had been found. Lisa grabbed her rifle. "Stay here. I'll hold them off." "You cannot fight them all," Nira said, clutching her baby close. "I don't have to," Lisa said. "Just long enough." She ran toward the sound, heart pounding. At the tunnel junction, she saw 3 armed colonists, their faces hard with purpose. "Where is it?" one demanded, rifle raised. "Gone," Lisa said. "Liar!" Another spat. "We tracked your footprints." Lisa raised her weapon. "Turn back," they laughed. "You're one woman with a broken gun." But Lisa had rigged the tunnel. While Nira slept, she had wired old power cells to the support beams near the entrance. One shot in the right place and the ceiling would collapse. "Last chance," Lisa said. They stepped forward. She fired. The explosion was deafening. Rock and dust filled the air. The tunnel entrance collapsed, sealing the hunters inside. Lisa ran back to the room, coughing, her ears ringing. Nira was awake. The baby clutched to her chest. "What did you do?" "Bought us time," Lisa said, grabbing their few supplies. They could not stay. The colony would send more. Maybe the whole militia. Lisa helped Nira to her feet. The queen was weak but determined. They moved deeper into the tunnels, toward the old mining shafts that led to the northern mountains. No one went there, too cold, too dangerous. But it was their only chance. They walked through the night, guided by the faint glow of Lisa's wrist light. Sari, the name Nira gave her daughter, slept against her mother's chest, wrapped in layers of cloth. Lisa kept watch, her rifle ready, her eyes scanning every shadow. By dawn, they reached the mountain base. Snow dusted the rocks and the air bit at their skin. Lisa found a shallow cave and built a small fire with dry moss and old wiring. Nira shivered but held Sari close, sharing her warmth. "Why did you help us?" Nira asked that night, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa looked at the baby asleep in Nira's arms. "Because someone had to." Nira reached out and touched Lisa's hand. "You are not like the others." "Maybe not," Lisa said. "But I used to be." They rested for a day, then pressed on. The mountains were harsh, but they offered cover. Lisa hunted small desert hares, boiled roots, shared her rations. Nira grew stronger and Sari began to coo and smile. One evening, as they rested under a sky full of unfamiliar stars, Nira said, "You gave up your home for us." Lisa shook her head. "That wasn't a home. Just a place to sleep. This feels like one." Nira smiled. They walked on, and in the quiet of the high pass, with the wind whispering through the stones and the first snow of winter falling softly around them, the monster queen slept curled around her child, safe at last. Lisa watched them, her rifle slung over her shoulder, and knew she had not slayed a monster. She had found a family. They wanted me to slay their monster queen. Now she sleeps curled. Life in the hidden valley flowed like a slow river. The silver grass swayed under 3 gentle moons, and the air smelled of blooming night bells and warm stone. Lisa woke each morning to the sound of Sari's laughter, echoing through the ancient halls of the new settlement. The child was 3 now, quick-footed and bright-eyed, her speech a sweet mix of human words and the melodic tongue of her mother's people. She called Lisa, "Mama Lisa," without hesitation, and every time she said it, something in Lisa's chest softened a little more. Nira had taken her place among the survivors, not as a ruler, but as a healer. Her knowledge of old songs and star medicine helped the wounded and the weary. She no longer wore the weight of a lost kingdom on her shoulders. Instead, she walked with light steps, her hands always busy, braiding vines, mixing herbs, or holding Sari's small fingers as they walked through the glowing gardens. Lisa still kept watch. Old instincts did not vanish overnight. She patrolled the valley's edge each dusk, rifle slung low. eyes scanning the rift for any sign of pursuit. But months had passed with no drones, no ships, no voices from the world they left behind. Kale felt like a dream now. Dry, harsh, full of lies. This place felt real. One afternoon, while repairing a water conduit with salvaged parts from an old storage vault, Lisa heard shouting from the central plaza. She dropped her tools and ran. A young scout stood in the circle, breathless, eyes wide. The rift. It opened again. Silence fell over the crowd. Lisa's blood turned cold. Who came through? Nira asked, stepping forward with Sari clinging to her leg. No one, the scout said. But something was left behind. At the edge. They followed the scout to the rift's mouth. There, half buried in silver dust, lay a small metal box. It bore the mark of the Kale colony, their old symbol, a sun with broken rays. Lisa knelt and opened it. Inside was a data chip and a folded note written in shaky hand. It read, "We were wrong. Please come back. They are coming for us now." Lisa's hands trembled. "Who is they?" Nira asked softly. Lisa shook her head. "I don't know. But this isn't from the elders. This is from someone who stayed silent too long." That night, the council gathered in the star chamber, a dome where the ceiling showed the sky of 1,000 worlds. The data chip was played on an old viewer. Grainy footage showed the colony under siege. Strange ships, black and jagged, circled the domes. Fires burned in the market square. People ran, screaming. "Who are they?" a survivor asked. "Raiders," Lisa said grimly. "Off-world scavengers. They heard about Kale's water reserves. They don't care about treaties or borders. They take what they want." Nira looked at her. "You know them?" "I ran from them once," Lisa admitted. "Before I came to Kale, they burned my last home, killed everyone who couldn't run fast enough." Sari tugged her sleeve. "Bad people?" "Yes," Lisa said. "Very bad." The council debated all night. Some said to stay hidden, let the colony fall. They had suffered enough because of humans. Others argued that if the raiders took Kale, they would search the wastes and find the rift. Nira stood at last. "We cannot hide forever. If they win, they will not stop at Kale. They will hunt every living thing for profit. We must act." Lisa looked at her. "You're not suggesting we go back." "Not to fight," Nira said, "to warn. To help those who are innocent. The farmers, the children, the ones who never believed the lies about me." Lisa thought of the woman who left the note. Maybe she had a child. Maybe she once watched Lisa walk into the desert and felt guilt every day since. "I'll go," Lisa said. "Not alone," Nira replied. They prepared in secret. Lisa cleaned her rifle, charged her power cells, packed rations. Nira wove cloaks from rift silk that bent light, making the wearer hard to see. Sari clung to Lisa's leg as they readied to leave. "You come back," she said, eyes serious. "I promise," Lisa whispered, kissing her forehead. They stepped through the rift at dawn. The journey back was faster this time, fueled by urgency, not fear. They reached the northern mountains in 2 days, then descended into the wastes under cover of night. The colony was worse than the footage showed. Smoke rose from broken domes. The outer walls were scorched. Bodies lay in the streets, but some light still flickered in the inner sectors. Survivors remained. Lisa and Nira moved like shadows through the ruins. They found the note writer hiding in a collapsed comms bunker. Maria, a former nurse, her face streaked with soot, her hands shaking. "You came," she whispered. "Why now?" Lisa asked. "Because I saw them take the children," Maria said, tears falling. "They locked them in the old storage bay. Said they'd sell them off-world. I couldn't stay quiet anymore." Nira's eyes darkened. "Where is the bay?" Maria pointed east. They moved fast. The raiders were loud, drunk on victory, careless. Lisa took out 2 guards with silenced shots. Nira used her star songs, low hums that made metal vibrate, jamming their comms and confusing their sensors. Inside the bay, 20 children huddled together, scared but unharmed. Among them was a boy Lisa recognized, Tommy, who used to bring her scraps of wire in exchange for stories. "Lisa?" he whispered. "We're getting you out," she said. They led the children through service tunnels to the mountains. Maria stayed behind to guide more survivors if she could. For 3 nights, they shuttled groups through the wastes. Nira used her knowledge of old alien paths, routes even the colony had forgotten. Lisa guarded the rear, her rifle hot from use. On the 4th night, the raiders found them. A skiff roared over the ridge, its searchlight cutting through the dark. Lisa shoved the last child into the tunnel and turned to face it. Go, she told Naira. I'll hold them. Naira shook her head. Not again. She raised her hands and sang, not a lullaby but a war chant from her ancestors. The ground trembled. Cracks spread through the rock beneath the skiff. With a groan, the earth split open, swallowing the ship whole. Silence returned. They did not stop walking until they reached the rift. One by one, the children stepped through, wide-eyed and trembling. Maria came last, carrying a small girl on her back. Thank you, she said to Lisa. Don't thank me, Lisa said. Thank her. She nodded to Nira. Back in the valley, the survivors welcomed the newcomers with food, blankets, and quiet kindness. The children were given warm beds and soft songs. Tommy clung to Lisa's hand for days, as if afraid she'd vanish. Weeks passed. The rift stayed quiet. No raiders followed. Maybe they thought the colony was empty. Maybe they feared the desert's curse. Life changed again. The valley was no longer just a refuge, it was a home for many. Humans and aliens worked side by side, planting crops, repairing old tech, teaching each other words and ways. Sari grew taller. She played with the new children, showing them how to make flowers glow and how to say friend in 2 languages. She still called Lisa Mama, and now she called Maria Aunt Maria. One evening, as the 3 moons rose, Lisa sat on the hill with Nira. Below them, the settlement hummed with life, laughter, music, the clink of tools. Do you miss it? Naira asked. The old world? Lisa thought for a long time. I miss the idea of it. The hope that it could be good, but this is better. Nira leaned her head on Lisa's shoulder. You gave them a second chance. You gave me one too. Lisa smiled. We gave each other that. Sari came running up the hill then, breathless, holding a glowing flower. Look, Mama Lisa, look, Mama Naira, it sings. And it did, a soft chime in the wind. Like a tiny bell. They sat together as the stars blinked awake, 3 hearts beating in the same quiet rhythm. The monster queen was gone. In her place was a mother, a healer, a friend. And the woman who was sent to kill her now stood guard not with a rifle, but with love. In the end, they did not slay monsters. They built a world where none could grow. They wanted me to slay their monster queen. Now she sleeps curled, the valley thrived under twin moons and gentle rains. Generations had grown in its silver grass, learning to weave light into cloth and song into soil. Lisa was old now. Her hands knotted with time, her steps slow but steady. She still rose with the dawn, still walked the paths she once patrolled with a rifle, though now she carried only a walking stick carved by Sari's children. Sari was a leader now, not by title, but by trust. She stood where her mothers once stood, between worlds, between fears, between what was and what could be. Her own children, 3 of them, ran through the halls of the great archive, their laughter echoing off walls lined with books written in human script, alien glyphs, and the blended tongue of their people. Naira's hair had turned the color of moonstone, her silver markings faint but still glowing in the dark. She spent her days in the healing grove, teaching the young how to listen to the breath of plants and the pulse of stone. She no longer needed to prove she was not a monster. The valley knew her as mother, as memory, as mercy made flesh. One morning, a signal pulsed from the eastern ridge. Not a threat, but a call. A ship had landed beyond the glass flats, small and battered, its hull marked with the broken sun of Kyle. Lisa felt the old fear stir, but Sari placed a hand on her shoulder. It's not raiders, Mama Lisa. It's a child. They met the visitor at the border. She was young, no older than 16, with wide eyes and dust-caked boots. Her name was Claire, and she carried a data slate wrapped in cloth. I came from the new colony, she said, voice shaking. They told us stories about this place, about the queen who forgave, about the woman who chose kindness. Lisa studied her. Why come now? Because they're afraid again, Claire said. A sickness spreads through the domes. Not plague, something worse. Machines turn on their own. Lights flicker with voices. People say the land is angry. Naira stepped forward. The rifts echo, Sari nodded. When Elder Harris sealed it, the tear left a scar in the world's skin. It's bleeding into your home. Claire dropped to her knees. Please. They sent me because I believed the stories. They said if anyone would listen, it would be you. Lisa looked at Nira. They had built a life on second chances. To refuse now would be to become the very fear they once fled. You'll stay, Lisa said. And we will help. Preparations began at once. Sari gathered the Rift Keepers, young men and women trained to sense and soothe unstable energies. Naira brewed tonics from valley herbs that calmed the mind and strengthened the spirit. Lisa, though her bones ached, checked every pack, every tool, every charge cell. Old habits were not just memories, they were armor. They left at moonrise. Claire led them through hidden paths she'd memorized from smuggler maps. The journey took 8 days. The desert had changed. Dunes shifted, rivers dried, and strange crystals jutted from the earth, humming with wrongness. When they reached the new colony, it was worse than Claire described. Domes flickered with ghostlight. Machines moved on their own, repeating old commands in broken voices. People huddled in basements, whispering of shadows that spoke their names. The elders were gone, some dead, some mad, some vanished into the static. Sari walked through the streets, her hands outstretched. She felt the wound in the world like a thorn in her soul. "It's not the land that's angry," she said. "It's the rift's pain. It's leaking through cracks we didn't know were there." They set up camp in the old med bay. Nira treated the sick, her touch calming their trembling minds. Lisa worked with the engineers, disabling rogue systems, rerouting power through clean lines. Sari and her team walked the perimeter, singing low songs that soothed the trembling earth. But the heart of the sickness lay deep, in the old crater where Lisa first met Naira. The ruins had awakened. Black vines, sharp and metallic, coiled from the stone, pulsing with purple light. They whispered in 1,000 voices, repeating fears, regrets, lies. "It's feeding on guilt," Naira said. "On every unspoken apology, every hidden shame." Sari knew what must be done. "We don't fight it. We heal it." They gathered the colony's people, not with orders but with open hands. They asked each person to speak one truth they had buried, a lie they told, a kindness they withheld, a name they feared to say. One by one, under the twin suns, they spoke. A man admitted he stole water during the drought. A woman confessed she turned away a neighbor in need. A boy whispered. He was glad his brother left because he was jealous of his strength. With every truth, the vines shrank. The whispers softened. The light dimmed. Lisa stood last. She looked at the crater, at the place where she almost pulled the trigger. "I came here to kill," she said, voice clear. "Not because I believed she was a monster, but because I wanted a home so badly I was willing to become one." Silence fell. Then, the ground sighed. The vines crumbled to dust. The ruins fell still. Peace returned. The colony did not ask them to stay. They knew this was not their home to keep. But they gave gifts, seeds, tools, recordings of songs sung in gratitude. Claire hugged Sari tight. "I'll tell them the truth," she said. "Not just the story, but what it means." On the journey back, Lisa walked slower than ever. Her breath came short, her legs heavy. Sari offered her shoulder, but Lisa shook her head. "Let me walk while I still can." Naira walked beside her, silent, her hand brushing Lisa's now and then. When they reached the valley, the whole settlement waited. Not in fear, but in welcome. Children ran to Sari. Elders bowed to Nira, and the foxes circled Lisa, nuzzling her hands like old friends. That night, under 3 moons, 2 silver, 1 white, the valley held a feast, not for victory, but for return, for truth, for the courage to face what is broken and say, "I am part of this too." Lisa sat by the white night bell, the one that bloomed where the rift once screamed. Sari's children curled at her feet, sleepy and full. "Will you tell us the story again, Mama Lisa?" the youngest asked. Lisa smiled. "Which one?" "The one where you saved the queen." "I didn't save her," Lisa said softly. "She saved me." And as the stars blinked above, Lisa closed her eyes, not in sleep, but in peace. She had walked deserts for a roof. She had held a rifle for a bed. She had almost killed for a lie. But in the end, she found home not in walls or rewards, but in a cave with a tired queen and a newborn child. Now, generations later, that home had grown, not by force but by choice, not by fear but by forgiveness. Nira joined her on the stone bench, her head resting on Lisa's shoulder. Their hands found each other, wrinkled and worn, but still warm. Below them, the valley hummed with life, human, alien, and everything in between. Children played in the glowing gardens. Songs rose from the healing grove. The wind carried the chime of night bells across silver grass. The monster queen slept curled, not in hiding, but in safety, and the woman who was sent to slay her sat beside her not as a hero, but as family. They had not conquered the stars. They had not ruled the galaxy. They had simply chosen, again and again, to be kind, and in a universe full of noise and war, that was the rarest magic of all. They wanted me to slay their monster queen. Now she sleeps curled, years passed like falling leaves in the hidden valley. The silver grass grew taller. The night bells bloomed twice a season, and the rift remained still. A silent door between worlds. Sari was 10 now, tall for her age, her silver skin dusted with faint freckles from the twin suns that peeked through the valley's high rim. She ran with the wind, climbed the ancient spires barefoot, and spoke 3 languages: human, her mother's tongue, and the soft clicks of the valley foxes she'd tamed as a child. Lisa no longer patrolled the edges with a rifle. She taught instead. In a sunlit hall built from salvaged dome panels and living vines, she showed the children how to fix broken circuits, purify water, and read star maps. Some were human, some were like Nira, and some were born of both. New lives that carried the best of 2 worlds. Nyra led the healer's circle, but her work had grown beyond medicine. She recorded stories, songs, and histories that might have been lost forever. She taught the young ones how to listen to the earth, how to read the pulse of plants, how to calm a storm with breath and song. She was no longer called queen. They called her first mother, not out of duty but love. One morning, Sari burst into the teaching hall, eyes wide. "Mama, Lisa, the rift, it moved." Lisa dropped her tools. "What do you mean, moved?" "It shimmered, like water, and I heard voices." Lisa ran with her to the rift's edge. The air hummed low and deep like a giant's breath. The purple glow pulsed faster than usual. Then from within the shimmer, a shape appeared. Not a ship, not a weapon, a person. He stepped out slowly, hands raised, face pale with exhaustion. He wore tattered colony fatigues, his hair gray, his eyes hollow. Lisa recognized him instantly. Elder Harris, once the loudest voice calling for the Monster Queen's death. The crowd gathered behind Lisa, silent, wary. Nira arrived with Maria and Tommy, now a strong young man who stood protectively near the children. Harris fell to his knees. "Please," he rasped. "They're coming. Not raiders this time. Something worse." Lisa crossed her arms. "Why should we believe you?" "Because I have nothing left to lie for," he said, voice breaking. "They took everything. My home, my family, even my name. They call themselves the Pure. They say all mixed blood is poison. They burn cities that shelter impure beings." Nyra stepped forward. "How did you find the rift?" "I followed the stories," he said. "The whispers of a place where humans and others lived together. I walked for months. I thought you'd kill me on sight." "Maybe you should." Sari tugged Lisa's sleeve. "He's sad, Mama Lisa. Like the lost fox last winter." Lisa looked at Nyra. They had built a home on mercy. To turn him away would betray everything they'd become. "You'll stay in the outer hut," Lisa said. "You eat last. You speak only when spoken to. And if you cause trouble, you go back through that rift alone." Harris bowed his head. "Thank you." Days passed. Harris worked without complaint, hauling water, mending fences, tending the compost pits. He never asked for more than a blanket and a bowl of stew. Slowly, the children began to talk to him. Tommy taught him how to weave nets. Sari showed him how to make the night bells chime. One evening, Lisa found him sitting by the stream, staring at his reflection. "Why did you hate her so much?" Lisa asked, nodding toward Nyra's distant silhouette. Harris sighed. "Fear. My son got sick after the war. The medic said it was alien spores in the air. He died. I needed someone to blame. She was the easiest target. I told myself she was a monster so I wouldn't feel like a fool for believing lies. And now I see monsters wear many faces," he said. "Mine was just the loudest." Lisa left him there. She didn't forgive him, not yet, but she understood. Then the sky changed. 3 suns rose that morning instead of 2. The third was small, red, and wrong. It cast long shadows that moved on their own. The valley foxes howled and hid. The night bells closed their petals and would not reopen. That night the rift flared violently, not with light but with sound, a deep grinding noise that made teeth ache and bones vibrate. Sari ran to Lisa, trembling. "It's not a door anymore. It's a wound," Nira confirmed it. "Something is tearing the fabric between worlds. If it breaks, everything here could be pulled into the void." Harris came forward. "The Pure, they have a weapon. They call it the Cleanser. It doesn't kill. It unravels. It tears reality apart to purify it. Lisa's blood ran cold. They're using it on the rift. They must think this place is a nest of abominations, Harris said. They want to erase it from existence. The council met under the three suns. Panic flickered in every eye. We flee deeper, one said. There is no deeper, Naira replied. This valley is the heart of the rift. If it falls, we all fall. Lisa stood. Then we close it from this side. How? Tommy asked. With what built it, Nira said softly. Song and sacrifice. Ancient texts spoke of the rift's origin. It was not natural. It was made long ago by Nira's ancestors to protect their last children during a great war. To seal it, one had to stand at its center and sing the final verse of the world song while giving their life force to the stone. Silence fell. Sari stepped forward. I'll do it. No, Lisa and Nira said at once. I'm strong, Sari insisted. I'm both. Maybe that's why I was born, to fix what was broken. Lisa knelt, holding her daughter's face. You are not a tool. You are my child. Nira placed a hand on Sari's shoulder. The song requires a full life given willingly. But you have so much life ahead. Harris cleared his throat. What if it doesn't have to be death? What if it's just giving something that matters? They looked at him. I have nothing left, he said, but I have guilt and regret. And a name that once meant hate. Maybe I can give that back to the world as something else. Naira studied him. The song needs truth, not just blood. Then let me try, he said. They prepared at dawn. The whole valley gathered at the rift's edge. Harris wore clean clothes, his hair combed, his eyes clear for the first time in years. Naira taught him the words, simple, old, heavy with meaning. Lisa held Sari's hand, her heart pounding. Harris walked into the rift alone. The ground shook. The red sun pulsed. The rift screamed. Harris began to sing. His voice was rough, untrained, but honest. He sang of shame, of loss, of a boy he failed to save, of a queen he never knew, of a home he destroyed and a second chance he did not deserve. As he sang, the rift's purple light softened. The grinding noise faded. The red sun dimmed. Then, with the final note, Harris fell to his knees. Light poured from his chest, not fire, but golden warmth. It flowed into the rift like water into dry earth. The rift closed, not with a bang, but a sigh. Where it had been, a single night bell bloomed, white this time. Its chime clear and calm. Harris was gone. No body, no trace, just peace, Sari cried. Lisa held her. Naira placed a hand on the white flower and whispered, Thank you. In the days that followed, the valley healed. The three sons returned to two. The foxes came out. The children played again. But everything had changed. They were no longer hiding. They were protecting. Lisa and Naira began training a new guard. Not with weapons, but with knowledge. They taught the young ones how to sense rifts, how to calm unstable energy, how to sing the old songs. Sari led the lessons. Her voice strong, her heart sure. Years later, when traders from distant stars heard rumors of a valley where humans and aliens lived as one, they came seeking truth. They found not a secret, but an open gate. The valley welcomed them, not with fear, but with questions. Do you come in peace? Will you share your stories? Can you learn our ways? Some stayed, some left. All carried word of a place where monsters were myths and mothers were heroes. Lisa grew older. Her hair turned gray, her steps slower, but her eyes stayed sharp. She still taught, still listened, still held Sari's children on her lap and told them the story of the woman who was sent to slay a queen, but found a family instead. Naira's silver markings faded with time, but her songs grew deeper. She walked the valley every evening, hand in hand with Lisa, watching the moons rise, and in the quiet of their home, built from hope and hard choices, the monster queen slept curled not in fear, but in peace, surrounded by those she loved and who loved her back. They had not won a war. They had built a world where war was forgotten, and that was enough. They wanted me to slay their monster queen. Now she sleeps curled. Winter settled over the northern peaks like a heavy blanket. Snow fell in slow spirals, muffling sound and softening edges. Lisa crouched near the cave mouth, scanning the white slopes below. Her breath curled in the air, her fingers numb despite the gloves she'd stitched from hair fur. 3 months had passed since they fled the colony tunnels, and still, she checked the horizon every hour. Old habits died hard. Inside the cave, Naira hummed a low melody while weaving vines into a cradle. Sari, now 6 months old, babbled happily from a nest of furs, her tiny hands reaching for glowing blue petals Naira had coaxed to grow from a pouch of seeds. The child's skin shimmered faintly in the dim light. Silver like her mother's but warmer, touched with hints of rose. She was strong, curious, already trying to pull herself up on the cradle's edge. Lisa turned back to the mountains. No movement, no drones, no patrols. The colony had given up, or so she hoped. But trust was a luxury she could not afford. She took her first step today, Naira said softly, joining Lisa at the entrance. Lisa blinked. Really? Just a wobble. She fell right after, but she laughed. Naira's eyes held a light Lisa had never seen in the early days. Peace, maybe even joy. Lisa smiled. She's got your spirit. And your stubbornness, Naira replied, nudging her shoulder. They stood in silence, watching snow gather on the pines. Life here was hard but honest. Lisa hunted. Naira foraged and tended their small garden of alien flowers that glowed at night, lighting the cave without fire. They shared chores, stories, silence. No orders, no lies. Just survival stitched together with care. One morning, Sari woke with a fever. Her skin burned, her eyes glassy. She would not eat. Naira rocked her for hours, singing in a language Lisa did not understand, her voice trembling. What's wrong with her? Lisa asked, kneeling beside them. Her kind. We are sensitive to cold worlds, Naira whispered. Our blood runs warm. This winter. It is too much. Lisa's stomach dropped. Is she going to be okay? Naira did not answer. Desperation clawed at Lisa's chest. She remembered the old medkit buried in her pack, the one she'd looted from a crashed scout drone weeks ago. She tore through her gear and found it. The scanner flickered to life. It beeped weakly over Sari's chest. Low core temperature. Immune response failing, the machine said in a flat voice. Can you fix it? Naira asked, eyes wide. Maybe, Lisa said, though she had no idea. The kit had thermal patches and nutrient gel, but nothing for alien biology. She wrapped Sari in every warm layer they had, then pressed the thermal patch to her back. She fed her drops of warmed broth mixed with crushed herbs. Naira said helped her people. For 2 days they took turns holding the child, rubbing her arms, whispering promises. On the 3rd night, Sari opened her eyes. Clear, bright. She reached for Lisa's finger and gripped it tight. Naira wept. After that, Lisa built a deeper shelter inside the mountain. She used salvaged metal sheets from an old survey outpost to line the walls, trapping heat. Naira planted more flowers along the inner walls, their soft blue glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Sari began to walk steadily, her laughter echoing through the stone halls they now called home. Spring came slowly. The snow melted into streams that sang down the rocks. Lisa taught Sari human words: water, sun, Mama Lisa. Naira taught her songs of star rivers and moon dancers. The girl grew between 2 worlds, her speech a mix of both, her heart belonging to neither and both at once. One day, while gathering moss near a meltwater pool, Lisa saw something that froze her blood. Tracks. Not animal. Boot prints. Fresh. She dropped her basket and ran back to the cave, heart hammering. Naira met her at the entrance, sensing the fear. They found us, Lisa panted. Naira's face went pale. How many? Just 1 set. But that means more could be close. They packed quickly. Food, water, the med kit, Sari's favorite cloth doll. Lisa took the rifle, checked its charge, and slung it over her back. They moved deeper into the mountain range, following a narrow pass Lisa had scouted weeks ago but never used. It led to a high plateau, barren and windswept, but with a view of all approaches. They reached the plateau by dusk. Lisa built a lean-to against a rock face while Naira soothed a fussy Sari. The wind howled, but they were hidden. That night Lisa kept watch. The stars were sharp and countless. She thought of the colony, of the elders who sent her to kill a mother. She wondered if they ever felt regret. Probably not. Fear didn't leave room for that. In the morning, Sari pointed to the sky and said, "Bird?" It wasn't a bird. It was a drone, small, silent, hovering far above. Lisa grabbed Sari and pulled her down. Naira covered them with a thermal blanket that masked their heat signature. They stayed still as stone. The drone circled once, twice, then flew east. "They're searching," Lisa whispered. "They won't stop," Naira said. Lisa knew she was right. The colony saw Naira as a threat, a living memory of their crime. As long as she breathed, they would hunt her, unless they disappeared completely. Lisa remembered the old tales scavengers told around fire pits, of the void rifts in the southern desert. Places where the ground cracked open and swallowed ships whole. Some said it was unstable gravity. Others said it was a gateway left by the ancients. No one knew for sure. No one who went in ever came out, but maybe, just maybe, it could hide them forever. "We go south," Lisa said. Nira stared at her. "Through the dead flats? With Sari? It's the only place they won't follow." Nira looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully in her arms. Then she nodded. They traveled at night, resting in daylight under camouflage nets. Sari rode on Lisa's back, wrapped in furs, her tiny hands clutching Lisa's jacket. Nira walked beside them, her steps sure despite the rough terrain. The desert stretched endlessly, cracked and dry, the air thick with heat even at night. After 10 days, they reached the edge of the flats. The ground here was black glass, smooth and cold. In the distance, jagged rifts split the earth, glowing faintly with purple light. The air hummed, making Lisa's teeth ache. "It's real," Nira breathed. They camped near the largest rift. Lisa tested the edge with a metal rod. It bent and twisted as if pulled by invisible hands. "If we go in, there's no coming back," Lisa said. "We are already gone," Nira replied. The next morning they stepped into the rift. The world twisted. Colors bled into sounds. Time stretched and snapped. Lisa felt like she was falling and flying at once. Then silence. They stood on a plain of soft silver grass under a sky with 3 moons. The air was sweet, warm, alive. In the distance, ruins rose, not broken like on Kyle, but whole, humming with energy. And there, walking toward them, were figures. Tall, violet-skinned, silver-marked. Alive. Nira gasped. "My people." One of them stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Nira, we thought you were lost." Nira fell to her knees, sobbing. Sari reached for the stranger, unafraid. Lisa stood back, rifle lowered, heart full. They had found more than safety. They had found home. Weeks passed. The survivors, only a few dozen, had hidden here after the war, using the rift as a shield. They welcomed Nira and Sari like returning stars. Lisa was given a place too, though she stayed quiet, watching, learning. One evening, the elder of the group found Lisa sitting alone on a hill, looking back toward the rift. "You saved our last queen," the elder said, "and her child. You are one of us now." Lisa shook her head. "I'm just Lisa. You are more," the elder said gently. "You chose kindness over fear. That is rare." Sari came running up the hill then, laughing, her silver feet kicking up sparks of light from the grass. She threw her arms around Lisa's neck. "Mama Lisa." Lisa held her close. Back on Kyle, the colony told stories of the monster queen who vanished into the wastes, never to be seen again. They said she was dead. They said she was cursed. They never knew the truth, that she lived, loved, and raised a daughter in a world reborn. And Lisa, the scavenger who once walked the dunes for a roof and a bed, now walked green fields under alien moons, her heart no longer empty. She had not slayed a monster. She had helped a queen rise again. And in the quiet glow of 3 moons, with Sari asleep in her lap and Nira humming nearby, Lisa finally understood what home really meant.